I won't be belittled over a mere $15,000. If they think cutting off my financial support will bother me, they're wrong. I've been assisting my brother and his wife for a decade, sending them money consistently. Despite my generosity, they choose to treat me disrespectfully. Well, fine by me. I decisively hung up the phone, leaving them to worry about their situation. My name is Evelyn, and I live happily with my husband Edward and our son William. Edward is a kind and helpful person who actively contributes to household chores and spends quality time with William. However, amidst this content life, there's a concern regarding my older brother Jack and his wife Maya, who reside in our family home. Our mom, Jean, retired and returned home after Jack and Maya declared they would take care of her. Grateful for their offer, I accepted and began sending Mom $15,000 every month. However, things took a turn for the worse when Jack and Maya started managing the money. If I ever forgot to send the money, Maya would angrily call, berating me each time. Mom's behavior also changed, comparing me unfavorably to Jack and expressing disappointment. Growing up in a single-parent household, I was worried and accepted Jack's offer out of gratitude. Despite my consistent financial support, I now face criticism and extortion-like behavior from Maya. This has left me feeling uneasy about the entire situation. The aggressive behavior began when Maya first entered our family. Her initial judgmental comment about me being a plain girl caught me off guard, and her inappropriate attire only fueled my discomfort. I confided in my supportive husband, and though I felt better momentarily, the unsettling feeling of having Maya as family lingered. While Jack isn't the most sensible person, I had hoped to get used to it. Unfortunately, their behavior worsened after moving into the family home. Concerns about Mom's well-being lingered in my mind, but between work and raising William, I couldn't find the time to visit her. Consequently, I was left in the dark about the details of her situation. At the end of the month, amidst our busy lives, Mom unexpectedly called, following the usual routine. I had just dropped my son off at the childcare center and was about to head to work when my phone rang. Worriedly, I answered the call, asking Mom what was wrong. To my surprise, Mom sounded furious. When I inquired about the reason for her anger, she uttered something outrageous, demanding to know where this month's money was. I was shocked, as I had already sent the money at the beginning of the month. Trying to explain, I told her I transferred it to Jack's account, but she angrily insisted she hadn't received it. Perplexed, I asked her to check again, but she wouldn't listen. In a fit of anger, she accused me of becoming irresponsible and ungrateful, claiming that I was sending less money. Despite my assurance that I did send the $15,000, she continued berating me. Fed up, I yelled back, emphasizing that I had fulfilled my financial obligation, and then hung up. Perhaps it was a bit childish, but I wanted to make it clear that I had indeed sent the money. With the prospect of facing unfair scolding again the next month, I felt the need to check in with my brother. I suspected that his wife might be involved in something fishy. Determined, I headed to work, my footsteps echoing with frustration. The following month, as expected, I received a call from my sister-in-law reminding me not to forget the monthly transfer. I took the opportunity to inquire about Mom's behavior the previous month. Casually, she dismissed Mom's upset as a passing mood, but advised me to discuss it with Jack. Urged by her, I decided to contact my brother to address the issue. When I broached the topic, he responded with annoyance, asking, "What now?" I recounted Mom's angry call and her complaint about not receiving the money. To my surprise, he revealed that they had decided to allocate only $700 of my $15,000 for Mom, using the rest for their own expenses. Stunned and angered, I confronted him about the unauthorized use of my money. However, he evaded my questions, leaving me feeling helpless. Frustrated, I hung up, contemplating my next steps. Realizing the gravity of the situation, I felt compelled to inform Mom about the ongoing issues. I called her and shared every detail my brother had disclosed. However, she remained unconvinced, dismissing my explanation as mere excuses. "You're just making excuses. You probably didn't send the money this month either. I've sacrificed so much for you, and this is how you repay me," Mom said tearfully. Feeling helpless, I suggested switching to a video call to prove that I had indeed transferred the $15,000. Mom reluctantly agreed, and as we switched to video, I displayed my bank card with the transaction history. Despite my efforts, Mom stared at the evidence without uttering a word. I hoped she had finally understood, but her skepticism prevailed. "You probably faked this. I heard on the news that it's easy to create these things now. Just pay this month's amount and we'll talk after that," she declared. Reluctantly, I transferred the $15,000 and promised to show my brother's bank card too. Mom, acting high and mighty, insisted on seeing my brother's bank card before continuing the conversation. She hung up without reciprocating, leaving me to trust that she and my brother would understand. I transferred the money for the current month, believing it would resolve the misunderstanding. A few days later, I received an angry call from Mom, questioning my actions. Confused, I listened as she claimed not to have received the money for this month and struggled to make ends meet. I reiterated that I had transferred the money on the day I called her and suggested checking with my brother. Annoyed, my brother gruffly responded that Maya had the bank card, and it was none of my business how they used the money. Frustrated, I contacted my sister-in-law, who nervously admitted to withdrawing the $15,000 to buy a designer bag. She nonchalantly explained that she planned to pay it back once she received her part-time paycheck. Angry and incredulous, I implored her to return the $15,000, emphasizing that the money was intended for Mom, not her leisure. In response, my sister-in-law snapped back, belittling me and demanding an additional $1,500, asserting that as a full-time worker, I should have more money to spare. Furious and disillusioned, I couldn't believe how my hard-earned money was being misused. Over the weekend, fueled by frustration, I headed straight to my parents' house to confront the escalating situation. My sudden visit surprised my brother and sister-in-law, but Mom welcomed me in, asking if I brought the money. I confirmed that I had transferred the money and explained that I came to verify it by checking my brother's bank card. When I confronted my sister-in-law, she made a disgusted face and refused to show me the bank card. Insisting that she should display it since I had transferred $15,000 to my brother's account, she continued to resist. When I mentioned her promise to return it after receiving her paycheck, she attempted to dodge the question, accusing me of trying to blame her for not transferring properly. In the midst of our argument, Mom shouted in anger, urging me to leave and declaring that I was no longer her daughter. In my frustration, I retorted that I would stop sending money. I revealed to Mom that my brother and his wife weren't as trustworthy as she believed, disclosing their deception about only giving her $700 out of the $1,500 I sent. Despite their denial, I stood firm, declaring that I would no longer provide financial assistance. Leaving my family home with those words, I felt a sense of finality. I decided to cease helping them, regardless of the consequences. When I shared the incident with my husband, he comforted me, assuring that it was okay to stop sending $15,000 after 8 years. He reminded me that my brother and his wife would find a way to manage, and I shouldn't worry about it. Feeling reassured by his perspective, I acknowledged that sending money was a gesture of goodwill. I realized that my brother, as an adult, had the means to earn a living, and I shouldn't be compelled to support their lives. The sense of obligation that had weighed on me for so long began to lift. Having shouldered the responsibility of cleaning up after my brother and Mom's mistakes for an extended period, I often questioned why I felt obligated to care for them. Initially, it seemed normal. But now that my family comprised only me and William, my husband pointed out that I didn't need to guarantee their livelihood every month. This revelation felt like a weight being lifted off my shoulders. In the middle of the following month, my phone incessantly rang with calls from my brother and his wife. Despite my intent to cut ties with them, curiosity led me to answer. They questioned why I hadn't sent money that month, insisting that they had anticipated my support. I firmly declared that we were done, and I hung up. Later that evening, my sister-in-law, waiting outside my house upon my return from work with my son, caught me off guard. In an aggressive manner, she began berating me in the hallway of my condo, asserting that I should pay her the $15,000 as she took care of my mom. I sighed at her unreasonable demands and stated that we had cut ties, urging her not to come back. Frustrated, she stomped her foot in anger, yelled, and cursed. Someone from the neighborhood must have called the police, as they arrived shortly after. She was taken away by the police, leaving me in disbelief. I immediately called my brother to inform him of the situation. In response, he was surprised, questioning why she got arrested. When I explained that her demands were negatively impacting my son and that I wanted nothing more to do with them, he fell silent, eventually beginning to ask for forgiveness. In a feeble plea, my brother tried to justify their financial dependence, citing their part-time jobs, my mom's modest pension, and their reliance on my $15,000. Despite acknowledging that most of the money went to my sister-in-law's leisure, he insisted they needed it for their livelihood. I retorted, questioning why I should support them when they likely only gave Mom $700. Fed up, I hung up and resolved never to answer their calls again. Despite receiving numerous texts from my brother, I ignored them all. My sister-in-law continued attempting to contact me, but perhaps due to her arrest, she didn't show up at my house. Several months later, Mom finally called, revealing that Jack hadn't been providing money and she was struggling. She complained about how my brother and his wife treated her poorly, not even giving her $700 from her pension. Despite her heartbroken voice, I felt no sympathy. The trust I had in both Mom and my brother had been betrayed, especially after they declared we were done. Recalling how I managed college without borrowing from Mom, and even paid off my brother's student loans, I felt that I had done more than enough. Advising Mom to kick them out of the house if she didn't want her pension taken by them, I ended the call. Despite her apparent desire to say more, I resolved not to get involved. They could figure things out on their own. Eventually, it seemed Mom followed my advice, evicting my brother and his wife due to their terrible attitude. Post-eviction, they moved into an old apartment, and Mom distanced herself from my life. My brother persisted in trying to contact me, claiming they were in debt due to his wife's excessive spending. Ignoring his pleas, I no longer interact with Mom. I now live happily with my son and husband, focusing on my own challenges.